Hi folks, this is Patrick Hickey, and what I have here is just a little video on my R.S.R. rubric or feedback sheet. Some of you might be familiar with the previous one I did. Well, this is the new, and I hope you'll find better version of the same. And I suppose the reason I'm doing these things is, I suppose before we head back to school, I just want to get my house in order. And I suppose feedback is so important. All right. So something like this, it's called what's called a rubric, and you have two options. You can either print the thing out, and you have a look at a student's work, and whatever comment applies, you circle it with your pen or marker. What I tend to do is, because I use Google Classroom, this would also work on Microsoft, of course, is I copy and paste the whole rubric and I just attach it to the end of a student's work, and then it's just a case of if a comment applies, again, I'll have a look at these comments shortly, you highlight and you color code it like that. All right, so the student knows straight away that most of their paragraphs are well constructed. Now, just have a look at the rubric and the new setup. Now, I suppose the old version I used was a bit scattered. From use, I found things were in the wrong order. So you'll see now things like I have paragraphing, mechanics, footnotes, and word count all together. I suppose they're what you'd call the bread and butter of any decent piece of writing, especially 1500 word R.S.R. Now, you can see the comments. I won't go through all of them. You can do that in your own time. But I suppose the thing about this rubric, even if you never used it as a feedback tool, it is a great teaching tool, because if you look at the A comments, even to go through those alone, you're showing students the goalposts. Like, what exactly are we aiming for? So when it comes to paragraphs, the A comment here says, all your paragraphs are well constructed and roughly about 100 words long, right? So that's the ideal. Contrast that then with maybe, I suppose, what you'd find in a first draft of an R.S.R, where the paragraphing can be poor or non-existent. So that's highlighted here. So if that was the case, you'd either put a circle on that comment and you'd point out to the student, your paragraphing is poor now, but we're going to move it on now, hopefully next time, to either C, B, or better still, the A comment, that next time all your paragraphs are well constructed and roughly 100 words long. Okay, so after paragraphing, I have mechanics. Again, just look at the A comment here. So you'd be hoping and willing your students would avoid grammatical, spelling, or punctuation errors. Perfect sentence structure, meaning was clear throughout, a pleasure to read. And a little smiley face there, because that makes me really, really happy. Okay, again, I have a series of comments on footnotes. 2, none were used. 2, you have 6 to 8 footnotes from a variety of sources. That is impressive. Okay. Word count. Now, in the previous rubric that a lot of you may have seen, I had this at the end of the essay, and I think it was the wrong place for it in hindsight, because a lot of students come to me and they're obsessed with the word count. I suppose there's something about it, or there used to be something about it at the bottom of the rubric, and students took far more notice of it than they should. Now, I'm not saying it's not important. Of course it is, but I suppose in its previous placement, a lot of students thought it was the be-all and end-all to write 1,500 words R.S.R. done. They just were missing the point, I suppose, the subtleties of an R.S.R. and what it's really about. It's not about writing a big, massive essay. Now, next comment here has to do with sources. Again, the D comment here says lacks primary source material. It also lacks quotes from a secondary source, e.g. a cited comment by another historian about your topic. So you'll get that kind of thing in your first draft. Again, you'll be pointing students to the A comment, which is the perfect use of primary and secondary source material. All right. So again, as I've said, you can use this as a feedback tool or a teaching tool. Again, showing students the goalposts. What are we aiming for? All right. Again, chronology is another heading I've included. Again, from the D comment, I suppose, again, if you think of an early draft, usually, you know yourselves, the chronology can be all over the place. Well, again, you're pointing to the student, you're here now, this is where I want you to be. By the end of all this, your information is very organized with well-constructed paragraphs, perfect chronology. Okay. Finally, the last comment I have on the rubric is quality of information. Again, if you look at an early draft, this is going to happen. You know, students are going to leave things out. And I suppose that's where we come in with feedback and tell them what needs to be included. Information has glaring omissions, a number of key events not dealt with. See these in my other feedback. So typically, as I'm going through an essay, maybe in Biro or in comments, if I'm using Google or whatever the Microsoft equivalent is, you'll include there what's missing or what they should include. Another thing you'll find is, especially with an early draft, that students get too bogged down in unnecessary detail. You know yourself, you get the whole list of historical personalities, brothers and sisters, and where they went to school, you know. So you'd be saying in the next draft now, refine that. We don't need to know about everyone's brothers and sisters and siblings, okay? All the way up to the A comment, information clearly relates to the main topic, key events are well explained and discussed. So I suppose the idea of this is, by the end of the process, again, in my case, I let students do 3 drafts, and as they go through them and give and submit draft work to me, they move up through the rows, right? And a finished R.S.R should have all A comments, right? So you can go through those there in your own time. Now, if you like this video, I suppose it's going to be part of a mini series I'm doing at the moment around the R.S.R and I suppose techniques like rubrics and other things we can do in these difficult times to make the process easier and better for all involved. And I'm talking about students, of course, but teachers also, that we're more effective when we're working with our students and giving feedback. And I suppose if we do find ourselves in a case where we have to work online again, you know, I suppose something like this, you know, that you can attach to a document for the R.S.R, it would be very handy. Again, outside of that, it is a great teaching tool. You're showing students exactly what you're looking for. All right, so if you like this and would like to see some more of my work, make sure to give me a follow on Twitter. Look me up on Facebook as well. Oh, and by the way, 1 second here. If you would like a physical hard copy of the rubric, a PDF or a Word version, or you know what the hell, both, get in touch with me, preferably through my Facebook page. That's Leaving Cert History Tutor, and no problem, I'll send you on both. All right, I suppose the advantage of the Word document is if there was any comment here you didn't like or wanted to put in one of your own, you can add accordingly. All right, folks, so thanks for tuning in, and I hope that was of help. Till next time, all the best, Patrick. Bye-bye.